Howdy, everyone. This is Jeff Mago again with tenantimprovement.com, the Lease and Build podcast. Thank you for following us. Remember to like, subscribe, and do all that other stuff I'm supposed to say at the beginning of these podcasts. Today, we've been interviewing a lot of experts, architects, general contractors. We've been talking about insurance, security, all around your construction process. Today, we have a little bit of a separation from the norm. We have a different type of expert here that I met recently, and it's about processes, and it's about making sure that a company is going to consistently perform for you. And so this is a great and exciting topic for me to cover. And so our expert guest today is Kendall Pouland, and the business is Build Better Ways. And you're out of Houston, Texas.
Yes, sir.
It's the last question I'm going to ask him. I'll let you talk. But anyways, first of all, I want to say thank you for.
Absolutely.
I
Thanks for having me.
really am excited that you're here, Kendall. So tell the viewers a little bit about yourself and just like a quick 1 or 2 sentences of what Build Better Ways does.
Sure.
And then we'll get into it.
Absolutely. So I have about, we'll say over 20 years experience in the construction industry. We will leave it at that, all in commercial construction. I worked for a general contractor, a large GC here in Houston for 18 years. And then through almost 4 years ago, started Build Better Ways, helping contractors to build better systems so they can deliver great projects every time. Consistently.
Excellent. And so anything personal? Like, so you said grew up here in Houston. Yep. Tell us about family or anything.
Yeah. So my husband is a superintendent, so I get to work on schedules at home for free. I have a 10-year-old daughter. I got into construction originally because I got to go on mission trips with my church.
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
I would be. I've tarred a roof in Mexico, and we built bunk beds, and I love the construction aspect of it, and so that's how it all started.
You didn't tell me that during the precursor warm up.
You didn't ask the right question.
No, I did not. I'll have to work on that. My kids have done Blueprint, which is a mission out of San Antonio where they help people in need do roofing.
Cool.
In the middle of the summer. Go figure that.
Yeah, same.
We've done the Sleep in Heavenly Peace where we build the bunk beds for the kids, which is amazing. But that's interesting that it kind of ignited your passion for construction.
Yeah.
I can totally see it. Okay, one other cool thing that we didn't talk about that I did ask the right question earlier. You're a college professor.
I am.
Okay, so
Yep. So I run Build Better Ways full time, and then my other job is I teach planning and scheduling at Texas A&M.
Never heard of that school.
No, okay. It's sort of the biggest.
Yeah.
It is the biggest construction school in the country.
Is it
by and large?
Okay,
like much bigger than anyone else. There's other very good ones, but we are we're the biggest because it's Texas. And so we have about 200 students this semester that get to get hands-on and planning and scheduling.
I wonder if back in the day when I was in school, if construction management was offered, if I would have gone for it. I graduated the entrepreneurship program at the University of Houston.
Yeah.
So I got a little bit of the creativity and being your own boss and stuff like that. Well, so tell me, you enjoy being your own boss?
I do. Not what I expected. I thought it would just mean lots of free time and do whatever I want, whenever I want. But it feels like instead of having one boss, now, every client is a boss. So I've got 15 bosses and I want to do a great job for all of them. So, it comes with pros and cons, but I really, really enjoy it.
Okay. Well, I'm excited. Texas A&M college professor on the podcast.
All right. You got
Loving it in the construction. All right. So, this next question is kind of field of framework. Came from a construction background, and I talk with my installers. Those are the experts in the field, right? And then you have the experts in the labs that create these products and chemicals and things like that. It feels like your process kind of blends the two. But talk about how your process or how your systems help a contractor, whether it be a sub or GC, bridging the field and the lab.
I found a lot that people in the field are they're doing workarounds when they can't figure out. They have the right way to do it is not easy. And so they're like, well, so we have to go over here and do that, and then we got to kind of play around and do this and make it work. And to me, that's part of where systems need to come in. That if we've got 10, whatever they are, 10 installers or 10 project managers, and they're all doing things different way, let's talk to all 10 and say which one's the best, or how can we figure out what the best option is, document that, and then everybody going forward kind of does it this way. And so I think that's one of my big the things that just make me cringe a little bit is when I hear, well, we have a workaround for that. It's like, okay, well, can we get a real fix for
I
it?
think one of the challenges with that, though, is that you have the stakeholders in the process, right? The installer in the field, the project manager who's helping coordinate the installation manager, maybe that you have a lot of different education experiences. I'm not going to use the word levels because I years ago I had an installer who I think barely had a high school education, and we had to line up this layout on a giant lobby, and it had to circle back around hundreds of feet away and come back dead on. And I was like,
Mhm.
"Oh, we got to really figure this out." And he goes, "Ah," and however he mentioned it, he starts, using his control lines, popping a right triangle, and then he's mathematically doing the Pythagorean theorem in front of me. And I'm like, well, you don't like, wait a minute, you don't, I know you don't have this schooling for that,
Right.
but he had the real life schooling. So
Mhm.
I'll use the education
Yeah,
level. So,
for
but I
sure.
think um, how do you bridge the gap in terms of education levels when you're talking about a process that goes across
Yeah.
different?
I mean, I think you as a business leader, you got to know who the real subject matter experts are.
Hmm.
And so sometimes we'll sit down to maybe it's writing an operations manual. And if it's only the CEO that's going to sit with me, I feel like something's probably missing, right? Like, do you really know the process for this? Or he'll help, he'll kind of answer a lot of questions and then I'll give it to the real people that are going to do it. And they go, yeah, that's not exactly how it works. It's not
Yeah.
exactly how we do it. So I really prefer for the subject matter experts,
Hmm.
whatever that looks like, to be in the room regarding each process that we're writing about, and maybe it's him.
Yeah. It's funny. I have anxiety now when I'm forced to estimate a project because we've gotten big enough and I've gotten a little bit removed from that process and the
Yeah,
tools have advanced a little bit.
yeah.
It's like, I think I can do it, but I need my
You got an
team.
estimator.
Um,
Yeah.
all right. So tell me, like common pain points, costing, scheduling, communication. What
Mm,
is it that you see like um, a common pain point for a potential client, whether it
yeah,
be a GC or a sub?
sure. Those are pretty easy. So one is if the C-suite, the president, the owner is still doing some low level day-to-day tasks. One of them I see a lot is approving invoices. I still approve all the invoices still come through me. They are all the checks still get my signature, right? Or I go home at night and that's when I'm, going in and approving those little invoices. Those kinds of things where I'm like, if could we make you feel better if we wrote a process that said you will approve anything over X dollars? But
Mhm.
what if it's a change order? Even if the owner has approved the change order and you're getting funded for it, why do you need to sign it? Like you're not losing any money. Can we at that point, if it meets these criteria, it doesn't need your approval? And they're like, oh yeah, that would work.
Yeah.
So that's a pain point where they're just so involved that they can't do the high level work, right? They can't go out and get business, which is what, the president needs to be doing.
Mhm.
Um, well, also, if the president built the business, right? So you built your business, everything is being done exactly the way you want it to be done, and then you hire and you start seeing those employees aren't exactly doing things per my quality of standards, right? They're not meeting my expectations. Well, do they even have a document that tells them exactly what the expectations were? Like, do they know there's a 48-hour turnaround on that? "Oh, I told them that one day." Well, you probably told them 100 things that day, so, employees not doing everything your way is a big one. Um, Process specific, we see scheduling as a big pain pretty often, project startup, yeah, those kind of
I
things.
think scheduling to me, um, I laugh. We get sometimes big contracts and we get big contracts that have delay penalties, right?
Mhm.
And I kind of laugh and I'm like, well, and because the viewers, I hope, know that I also own Floor Zone here in Houston, Texas, a commercial floor covering business. But we're usually the last ones in.
Sure.
And I feel like, well, the delay penalties, okay, you need to be done by March 31st. Okay, the original schedule had me January 3rd.
Right.
And now you're telling me to start March 15th. I think you're going to be late, not because of me.
Yeah.
And I always laugh at the scheduling, but I almost feel like it's like there's a lot of stakeholders that I don't want to use the word stakeholders. I'm struggling with that. Participants,
Okay.
because then we have another multifamily project that we're hoping to win, and there's a tight timeline on it. I'm like, I don't know if anybody's going to have 12 crews running this job
Right.
amongst all the trades.
Yeah.
That would then consistently be there. It would be a challenge for us to do that.
Right.
But to know that 3 other trades that have to do it too on the same scale level.
Yeah.
So, I mean, does that like
scheduling, manpower, those are different, obviously very related. And so, we've figured out some ways to start watching like what of all your projects, and you've got a host of projects all happening at the same time. You've got a bunch in your pipeline. How do those all stack up if I look 3 months from now? And the fact is that changes every week, right? You may get a new schedule from the GC every week that changes things, or permits don't happen, of course. And so it's a moving target. You got to look at every week, but you've got to have the schedule, and then you've got to connect the manpower to it for that to all kind of work.
What about like some pride points? What's funny is, construction is, I'm going to say this, I'm going to offend both sexes here. So construction is kind of this manly man industry, right? And sometimes they have pride and ego, right?
Oh, yes.
But I'll say there are a handful of women that I'll interact that own their companies that are in the construction industry, and there's a dominant personality of I'm in charge because I need to be in charge, or whatever their decision making of wanting to. But it's almost it's the equivalent. It's like, well, I know what I'm doing. I got this. And the other one is like, I need to know what I'm doing. And they do, right? As well as, but I think maybe the men don't sometimes. Like I'm trying to say that so I don't get in trouble either way. But sometimes I see, like I talk with someone and about something related to tenantimprovement.com, and came across very aggressive. And then once they understood what direction I was coming from, then all of a sudden it was boom, all the expertise came out perfect. But I think on the men's side, it'd be like, I'm not going to tell you I don't know, so I'm just going to puff up and show you I know, or tell you, So, I'm sorry, I do long tangents on questions, but do you see common? When do you see somebody's ready for your service versus somebody who needs your service? I think we all could need your service, right? But do you have a mindset where you like identify, okay, that customer's ready?
If they are really willing to invest in growth, like I have a client that told me they were probably 15 million in revenue, and he said, I'm going to be 200 million in revenue in 3 years. I was like,
oh wow,
you need me, right? I mean, because you cannot scale and be successful, right, and have everything accurate and high quality standards if you're going to scale like that.
Right.
And we had another client that's grown, I think, year over year, 100% every year for the last 3 years. And it's like, you've got to put some stuff in place. I'm sure you've got a lot of great, systems, but is it all very clear to all those people? And there's going to be turnover at that point, right? And so I think that's one of the big ones that you really, really need it. I've also talked to the president of a company, and it was actually a female running a GC company. And, she was like, I know we need a manual. I know we need these things, but it's really scary. Like, I don't know how to do it. I don't know where to start. It feels very overwhelming. And so it's just kind of been on the goals list, but not at the top for a long time. I was like, I'm going to do all of it for you. Right. And so if you feel like you need it, but you just don't know how, there's a solution.
All right. Tell me a little bit about technology and how that interacts with what you do for these general contractors. Is it just general contractors and subs, or do you go up the chain farther into architects?
GCs and subs.
Okay.
Yep.
So, all right. So GCs and subs. Anyway. So tell me about the technology toolbox.
So, the big player in commercial construction is Procore, and they're getting better every day. We went to Groundbreak a week or two ago, and it's not just Procore, but it's all of the other. There's just so many other point solutions, like specialty tools that do one thing really great. There's estimating tools that'll do your takeoff with AI.
Totally.
Yep, in a snap, and so it's just things. There is so much out there. But there's plenty of others. So that's kind of the big mammoth right now. Autodesk Build is really great. Used to be PlanGrid, but we also use tools that are kind of different from that, especially for subcontractors, because most subs know that Procore is not built for them typically. And so we'll use tools like one's called QuickBase, where you really get to build it the way you want it. It's just a work management tool. And you get to put in it what makes sense for you and your workflows, not necessarily for the guy down the street.
Okay.
And so it's custom, but it's not like a bunch of coding, right? And it's not a full software development. And so I really like that for people who they have very specific custom needs. And they don't want to spend a whole bunch on software as a service, like something like Procore.
All right, Kendall, this is fun. The next question, chaos to clarity. Show some examples where implementing a better system actually kind of provided some fruit, whether margin, whether error avoiding problems or faster turnaround. I mean,
okay.
So what?
I'll tell you one. So it was a subcontractor. They brought me in every Wednesday, or whatever day of the week. They have a staff meeting, but it was like 4 hours long. And they touched on, because the leaders, all the way down to the project managers and the procurement people, material delivery people, they all wanted to know what's going on in every job. So it took 4 hours for them to kind of get through this and they were trying to solve problems. They were communicating. That was their one thing. So we implemented a technology for them that all job information goes here. All job issues go here. All material statuses go here. And so now those reports go out different days of the week. And so they still have their staff meeting, which I love. I think that's a great thing to have that together, but it's like an hour and a half and most stuff is already solved, right? And they're just recapping if there's anything new that's come up. And I can tell from the leader's perspective for sure that they just feel more comfortable that they know what's going on all the jobs because it's right there in front of them. And you know how expensive that meeting is.
Oh yeah, when you're talking about all the employees and the hours, I mean,
they're not doing their jobs.
Yeah.
So that was a good one.
I think I got that from the E-Myth book too. We talked about the E-Myth earlier, where it talks about counting the dollars of what's being spent for who's involved.
Yeah.
Is an
for
important
sure.
thing.
Yeah.
So we're kind of talking about scaling, and that meeting would have an impact on scaling, not the sense that it is scaling, but so like is there a tipping point where like the structure? What are some tipping point signs that the structure is holding somebody back?
Yeah. So I think when you first start your business, the leader knows everything that's going on, right? They just have a really good hand on all the 5 jobs that are happening and how they're going, and they feel pretty good about that. And then those numbers start going up, and so now you've got jobs in the pipeline, you've got jobs starting, you've got jobs closing, and it's hard for most of us, at least me, to remember everything that's going on every job. And so you kind of start feeling like it's slipping a little bit, not the job necessarily, but just you're not clear that everything is going really well. And so I think that's one good tipping point where you feel like you have too many projects to really know everything. And then similarly, if you've got multiple people in the same role, whatever that is. So if you've got multiple project managers, multiple installation managers, they should be doing their jobs generally the same way. And we want clients to get the same experience on each project. We want tenants to get the same experience on job A and job B. And so if there's no process, then they're like, wait a minute, I had this awesome experience the first time, and the second time was just not as awesome. So that's a good tipping point.
I like that. I feel like we've kind of been in a growth mode, and we're kind of in that. We've added several more people into the estimating team, and just getting that consistency, we're working ourselves around. But I'll share another story. So at Floor Zone about 2 years ago, a couple of my senior guys who are officed here, and my team, I mean, people know I have a lot of outsourced employees, but they came to me and they said, we're going to start a team meeting. You're not invited. And I was just like,
Excuse me.
Well, okay, so what do you want to accomplish? Because I'm trying to be more of a listening type boss. I think that's who I am. And they explained it. I was like, well, you know what? Good luck to you. Right. And so they ran that for about a year and a half. And then they came back going, nobody's listening to us. Right. And you need, and so then I get back involved. Not that I don't want to take away credit from them. It's turning out to a really positive meeting for us, similar to what you just described. And I'll credit them for the foundation and building that. Then they brought me back in and I started paying attention, and there was just a few little minor tweaks and adjustments. But just as you described, it was a summary report between the departments. And after a couple of meetings, I was like, okay, well, I can see how y'all have handled this. I'm glad. I'll throw in some decision making when you ask me of it, but I also need this one thing on project management. And enough of that groundwork foundation had been laid that just with a few minor tweaks, once I came back in, it was really exciting to see. So I'll compliment them, but I just thought it was funny as you were talking and stuff about tipping points. And as a leader, I try not to be the you know, if you're going to talk a process, you have to talk to me and only me. I try to be that person, and I like what you're saying. So, all right. So, in terms of balancing, and I don't know if we can talk a little bit more. I'll let you balancing the human side. So we kind of talked about this earlier, where you talked about the participants in it need to be the ones helping guide the evolution of the process. But in terms of accountability, um, what do you see in terms of holding those people accountable once the process is in place?
Yeah. That's a very, very, very common question. I hear that word a lot.
It
How do we
wasn't
hold
written
them
down here.
accountable? No, it's okay. I've
It just
heard this
came
one
to me.
before, so
Okay.
we're good. Um, if you have this the systems in place where you're collecting all the right information in order to reach your KPIs, we talked earlier about KPIs and that, having some numbers that you're trying to reach and some goals you're trying to reach, and you're collecting that information to get to those. And then you've got the reporting so that it's really black and white to hold people accountable and say, look, we decided together that you were going to be able to do 5 of these a week, whatever that is. Okay.
Yeah.
You're no longer being, I think it actually helps so much with relationships that you're able to hold them accountable and it's not personal.
Mm.
You yourself, employee, team member, help come up with that number. You said it would be doable. That's all we're trying to do. Like, we're just trying to get to those numbers. It's not that I dislike you. You didn't make me mad. It's none of that personal stuff. It's just, how do we make sure that you're doing the things you agreed to do? Let me know up front if any of those things are not realistic and we'll change it. Right.
So I suffer from that, and I'm laughing because, like, the personal side of things, like, for a very long time, I hope I'm finally maturing, but from a very long time, it was difficult to give people critical feedback. And there's a young woman that's now helping as an executive assistant. She's also remote, and she gets to hear my meetings and hear the confrontations that are brought to me sometimes, or that I'm a part of. Maybe
Yeah.
I create them. And uh, she had. I need to go back and have her remind me what she said, but um, being polite is not an option, or being pleasant is not an option. I think I'll say
Okay.
that you can be polite and still not be pleasant, but being pleasant is an option. Like, you just have to get over holding somebody accountable. And I think you're right. I think that if they're working with a process, the process is here, the person is here. The process didn't happen. Now we have something to look at versus looking at the person.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Something to work on.
Yeah.
And it not be personal.
Yeah.
And so that, I think maybe that's been helping me lately with some processes that we've been implementing.
We also do that. We call it a skills matrix, but it's like a growth development plan. And it also helps those conversations be black and white, like your performance review plans, or if we think somebody wants to be promoted, it's black and white. We have over 60 different skills, and it's written down that this is the expectation for those skills in this role. And so when you sit down for your one-on-ones or your quarterlies or whatever that looks like, the employee and the manager. Now, construction, managers, kind of back to our gender thing a little bit, sometimes the men, particularly in a construction type A personality, this is not going to be their strong suit, right? Having a career development, like personal growth conversation. And so I try to take that piece out of it and say, here's the 66 things that they need to be able to do well and what good looks like. It's red, yellow, or green.
Yeah.
Have that conversation and move on.
Yeah. That is funny because, yeah, I'll take that. I'll listen to that. I've already done enough of the gender conversation today, and I will try not to add more, but I think you're right in that sense. Tell me industry shifts, AI, everybody has to ask this question. Like in terms of like AI automation and providing processes and standard operating procedures that you're doing for your clients, how is AI impacting that?
Okay. Love that conversation. So I think what's coming in, the next, we'll just say year, because who knows in 5 years at this point. If you've heard the term AI agents, right? So it's the ability, if we can upload our SOPs, our specs, our plans, our contracts, all of our different RFIs and such, and then anybody in the field can pull out their mobile app and write and just verbalize, talk to text a sentence that says, how many inches is this supposed to be, and it's going to give them an answer just like a human would. That's real. It exists today. And it should give you a reference to go back to and double check. But if I have a weather delay, what are the rules for me to, document that weather delay? Probably not a problem at Floor Zone.
Yeah.
But any kind of question like that we think we've incurred a delay, what does the subcontract say that I have to do?
Yeah.
And it'll answer you. And I think that's real for any level of education.
Did you ever see the movie Hidden Figures?
That sounds familiar, but I don't remember it.
It's about African American women working at NASA.
Oh, love that movie.
It was awesome, right?
Yes, when he hits the women's side with the bat.
The sign about
Yeah.
go to the right. Well, the was it Glenn Powell that was the astronaut?
I think so.
And he's like, no, I want whatever her name was to do the computation, right? So when you just said that immediately went to my mind, and I'm like going, I don't right now want AI to search through 64 documents to know the measurement of something. I would be worried about that. But at the same time, I do see
good. You should be worried. But if it can help you find that spot 5 times faster, it'll help you save 20 minutes.
I think I would love to like point to where it is.
Yeah.
Like show me where it is, and then let me read that. I would be good with that.
Sure. It should do both.
It should do both. Because I tried 100%. AI. What was I doing? I tried to get some information out of AI, and it was more of a complex question. And it was like, yeah, that's just not right.
Oh, yeah.
And then I asked, well, how come you gave me the wrong answer or something like that? Well, you didn't ask the question the right way.
Oh,
the
best post I saw this week, somebody put a snippet from chat, and he said, are you sure that's right? Right. He was questioning back to chat. And chat said, no, actually, you're right. I wasn't even able to open the document that you gave me. But it still answered the
it was thank you for it was reviewing specs.
Awesome.
It's like, go ahead and put the architectural plans in here, we'll tell you all about it. And then I start, it was about moisture mitigation, which is a big issue for Floor Zone. And it was a giant project. And I said, give me all the specs on the moisture mitigation. And if you follow the specs in the industry, it would be perfect for me. No one ever does. It came back with like, I couldn't have written it better myself. And I said, show me on what page. And I go to the page. I'm like, this is all about roofing. This is not the right page. And ChatGPT was like, oh, you only wanted me to use the document. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, AI is crazy in the terms of, I think you're right, in terms of like funneling through the haystack for the pinpoint information. I love as long as you can follow through to it. Is Procore getting into AI tools and functionalities?
You can create your own AI agents.
The agents, okay.
Yeah, that's their biggest thing. Yeah, kind of custom agents and pre-built agents, I would say, is the biggest AI thing. But of course, they partner with all kinds of different tools. You mentioned Toggle. Have you tried it?
We have a license. We like it. It's good for what I call very two-dimensional.
Yeah.
Right. Flooring and tile and stonework. It's up on the walls. Doesn't really do elevation sectional well. and I'm actually wanting to have an AI series of podcasts where I talk, because there's a Northspire. I haven't figured out what it does, but it does something on the development side of AI for real estate. And then there is another one called Cubic, which does schematic architectural renderings very quickly, base CAD drawings and sophisticated CAD drawings very quickly, but not to local code, to IBC code.
Okay.
So that's the architecture, starting the project, and then Toggle is more the takeoff tool AI.
Right.
But quite honestly, some of these AI tools is that just like not just fancy number crunching? That's
Yeah. But progress tracking, I mean, that's another one that, you walk the job with a 360 camera and it compares it to the model. And there's a lot of AI in that too, to say, well, you're 78% complete on whatever.
Yeah, that's cool. I need to look at those.
You got to have the model for most of that stuff, but.
Oh, okay. So if it all starts up from the beginning. All right. So tell me, active listeners, we're going to kind of wrap up here, but active listener who is a construction general contracting company or sub, they're still running on spreadsheets and stuff, which we still run a lot of spreadsheets. But what is it? What's the first process you would fix for them, or what do you think is like their first step into maturity? I'll say that business maturity.
The first question, what's the first thing I would start with? I'm going to have to give you two. I'm going to say it's easy, but I got to go two. I would say create a project startup checklist. It doesn't even have to be full sentences, but just literally all the things that we have to do in order to get a job kicked off.
Yes.
I like for it to say who's responsible and what's the timing of those things. But if nothing else, just categorize it as the first week do this, the first month do this. Checklist. And I would do the same thing for project closeout. And the reason I focus on those two, right, the way you start off a job is the way the job is going to go.
Yeah.
And then the way you close out, that's what your client's going to see.
Yeah. That's a great answer.
Okay.
I think so. And we're going back to, so our estimating team is remote. And when I first started hiring this one gentleman that was our first estimator, I was like, okay, you're only going to do the first phase of the takeoff. Like you're just going to outline the rooms and make sure it's scaled. And then I'll come in and I call it paint by numbers, assign the different products, right?
Yep.
And then after that, and we grew, and now we have a really sophisticated team that does that, even to the point where I commented earlier that I'm kind of falling out of understanding how to use some of my own tools. This has been a great conversation. I'm so glad you took the time out to do it. So Build Better Ways.
Yes, sir.
Is going to take your general contracting company, your subcontracting company to new heights. I'm going to go ahead and sell you on this one, because
better at it than I am.
Yes, no, it's amazing when you actually get past ego and you see a process actually happen.
Yeah.
And I another side story, and I might be running out of camera time, but I went to a job years ago after one of our first estimators, and I went with the still pen and paper and layouts, and they're like, well, is this in the contract? I'm like, oh no. They're like, didn't you estimate it? Like, no. Yeah, we got it. We covered it. And we had the process down, right? But you go through some of that. And so I can see, like, I'm so impressed with you thinking to make this a niche, because our industry needs it.
I think so.
And whether it's plumbing or electrical, we need it. And it's not too different. So I wish you the best.
Thank you.
And so Kendall, thank you for coming today.
Thank you.
So, like, subscribe, all that other good stuff. Again, Jeff Mago here with Kendall Pouland. Build Better Ways, tenantimprovement.com, the Lease and Build podcast. See you on the next episode. Thank you.